Hello and welcome to the On Your Head Son podcast. It is international break again.
Woo! Go on, England. Go on, England. Big win. Look at that. 2-0. Oh, love that.
Should it have been 3 though?
Oh,
Let's not talk about it.
Let's
not talk about it. Very, very dull. And in fact, England are playing right now. We're not watching it. England versus North Macedonia.
20 minutes in 0-0. 20 minutes in 0-0. That's all that matters.
What's your prediction?
1-0. 1-0 away win there. It's big. Harry Maguire header.
Oh, love it. Love it. The redemption header.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, anyway, James, welcome back. Welcome back to the pod. How was your trip? Obviously, Benin and Guatemala. How was it?
Well, not Benin.
No.
Belize. Can you Belize it? Guatemala was amazing. Did lots of hiking, volcanoes, and went to the rainforest. Belize was lovely and chilled, and went to the beach and did lots of snorkeling with sharks, which was great.
Beautiful.
How have you been?
Yeah, been really good. Been really good. Yeah, I mean, yeah, we've just been in good old London, haven't we? Over the weekend we saw each other. We did the little Great British Bake Off, unbelievable for Mum's birthday. Your cake was the best, I have to say. There, little Smurf one there. Yeah, it was good weekend, and yeah, just looking forward to the Prem starting again. I have to say that. Yeah.
Yeah, me too. I guess let's start talking about the Prem then, shall we? With the main bit of news that happened over the last week, which was the biggest points deduction in a long time. I don't know how long it is, but it was
it's Premier League history.
Everton. Is it the biggest ever? I think it is the biggest ever.
Biggest ever in Premier League history, this. Yeah, it's massive.
That is a 10-point deduction for Everton for breaching financial fair play rules.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk a little bit about what they've actually done?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, definitely. So obviously the rules are quite simple. There is you can't make a loss over 105 million over 3 years, and that's, you can factor in other things to do with it, like, for example, building a new stadium doesn't actually come into that loss, and kind of stuff that's going to be renewable. So stuff like women's football, stuff that's growing the game, supposedly doesn't come into that loss. So it's basically how they calculate what the loss is per year, and over a 3-year rolling period, it can't be over 105 million. Everton's is 124.5 million. The argument at the moment is Everton thinks it's 115 million. So that's why they're possibly going back to appeal on Tuesday or Wednesday. But yes, so yeah, I mean, it's 19 million over, which in the grand scheme of thing, in football terms, is not much at all. That's one transfer. I mean, it's half Alex Iwobi, I think, is how I'd describe it. But yeah, so biggest one in history, 10 points is like, it's a significant amount there. And you just end up really feeling sorry for the teams that went down last year. Like, for example,
absolutely. Yeah, I mean, we can talk about being Southampton fans, but I don't know how it would have affected us in any way. But the team that you've got to feel sorry for more, I mean, like, they're probably going to go back up anyway, but it's more from a financial point of view and the owners there that Leicester got relegated.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Leicester got relegated when they lost Maddison, they lost Tielemans. I don't know, I'm sure I'd go on more players they lost as well, but it's just to do with, again, when someone cheats, it's obviously you just end up feeling sorry for those teams that did actually suffer because of that, and can't really be in a way to kind of get out of it. I know Leicester and Leeds are looking at kind of appealing it and actually suing. I don't know how that worked, but suing Everton for kind of their cheating. But yeah, it's a really strange one. And this 10-point deduction, obviously being the most in history, it's almost looking like they're just trying to set an example on that. To be honest, I don't know what your thoughts are, but yeah.
I think, well, it's bigger than a lot of ones in the past where people have signed players illegitimately. They've people not fulfilled football matches and things like that. It seems like a really harsh punishment, and yeah, I absolutely agree that it's just setting a precedent for stopping people from doing it, basically. But what do your financial fair play rules as an accountant? in your spare time, not your day to day. This is your day to day.
This is my day-to-day job.
But in your spare time, you're an accountant.
Yeah, exactly.
What's your opinion on financial fair play?
So it was obviously brought in with the right kind of mindset. With kind of like teams, you can't just come in and just put money in and then allow a team to fold. Recent examples of Portsmouth, Derby to a certain extent, and I'm sure there's other countless examples that are missing. Southampton actually happened to, didn't it, as well? But yeah, so it was brought in the right kind of idea as well, that you can't really make a loss over a sustained period of time. The issue where it is it's always going to keep the big boys at the top and the little boys below. So the big example here is Man City's revenue was a record-breaking 712 million this year, whereas most teams are kind of at 170, 180 mil in the Premier League. So the gap is absolutely massive between what the top of the Premier League can afford and what the kind of mid to bottom can afford. So it's almost not really allowing actually that lower team to be able to compete with your Man Cities, your Man U's, your Chelseas or whatever. So that's where it's a little bit of an issue, I think. The arguments against it is maybe instead of financial fair play, you almost have a salary cap on kind of players, but then that only really works if you do that globally, because otherwise everyone's just going to go off to Saudi or the MLS or Japan or China or whatever it is. But yeah, it's a really strange one. It's really hard to be able to monitor. I think the issue again with financial fair play is always retrospective, just like we're saying there for Leicester and Leeds. It's really hard for them to, and yeah. So I mean, I'm not his biggest fan, but I can see why it fits a purpose. I think the biggest implication for this is what's going to happen to Man City, and that's to be honest what everyone really cares about, because I think Everton, everyone kind of thinks they're safe, even despite a 10-point deduction.
So for clarification, they're on 4 points. They're 1 point off of safety now, and that's Luton they're behind. So you've got to think that over the course of however many games are left, what, we've got another 25-ish, I think?
Yeah, 25, 26.
They're going to make up a point on Luton, and they're probably not going to get overtaken by Sheffield United or Burnley. So... Yeah.
Completely agree. If there's a year to lose 10 points for this, do it this year. There are poor teams at the bottom, so you can easily get away with kind of a. I think even if City were to get like an 80-point deduction, I think they'd possibly still stay up as well, to be honest.
I think they probably would. Yeah. Crazy. They probably would. Yeah, survive on around 20 points. Yeah. Which is crazy. But yeah, so just like you mentioning Man City there, so they have been accused of 115 breaches, which makes up 1,150 points if you to go off of the same punishment that Everton have received. Obviously it's not going to be that high, but just as a point, you put in here, if they were to get deducted 1,150 points, they would be in the 11th tier of football, which would be playing in the Hampshire Premier League, which is pretty much where we used to play.
Senior. Hampshire Premier League Senior, that's important.
Hampshire Premier League Senior against the likes of Colden Common and Liphook.
Yeah. I mean, that's who we used to play as kids there. So yeah, that's always quite a good one there. So I'd love to see Man City playing against Liphook. I think that Liphook would do some damage.
I think so. I reckon that Rodri would want to leave and join Liphook after the game.
Haaland tearing up for Colden Common as well. So yeah, good.
But yeah, I mean, realistically, right? So Man City are going to fight this to the death. I don't think this is. I'd be surprised if it came out this season. Really. But
I don't think it is.
Where do you think they'll end up? Do you think they'll get relegated to Championship?
You've got no idea. I mean, the only example I can think of it where it's something similar to a massive team was obviously what happened to Juventus about 2008, 2007, whenever that was, where they went down to, I think it was just a second tier and just had they had a minus 40 points at the start of the season or something like that, or I can't remember what it was, but that was obviously to do with cheating, like paying off the referees and stuff. It wasn't necessarily to do with this financial fair play, but I think kind of in the regulators actually, the Premier League's actually set themselves up here for failure, because whatever the punishment is, even if they just went to a second tier here, I don't think that's almost enough for 115 breaches when you've already set a precedent of one breach being 10 points. And I just don't really see how this ever comes good again, to be honest, from 150.
Yeah.
And it's going to be, I think the years in
Or
question
do you
between.
maybe say that a club like that is banned from the Premier League for 5 years, so they had to go into the Championship?
Possibly, and that could definitely happen. I think, yeah, no, I think that would actually make more sense than kind of just a huge points deduction in 1 or 2 years, to be honest. Yeah, but
However,
what happens to those titles as well?
Yeah, what happens to the titles, and also would that bring rise to the Super League from Man City's point of view again?
Definitely.
Would they start spearheading the Super League if they're kicked out the Premier League for 5 years? I think they would.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you would, as anyone would, like, to be honest, think it. But even so, it's absolutely awful, really. Like, obviously, what we're not like, it's between, I think, 2009 and 2018 or whatever, and we're still not even we don't have a clue about anything. No fans whatsoever have a clue about absolutely any of the charges whatsoever, and we're in 2023 now, so it's pretty poor.
On the subject of you saying so, maybe they get their titles rescinded, taken away from them. I mean, is that would you like to see that?
I think. Well, I mean,
but does it actually matter?
I'm taking it kind of like similar to Lance Armstrong, when obviously his Tour de France wins, they just got completely scrapped from a record, like from 99 to 2005. So is it something similar to that, where you almost have literally just no winners of a Premier League that season? Or something. I don't know. But even so, it's.
I've got a question
murky.
for you. Not that this is ever going to happen in our lifetime, unfortunately, but as a Southampton fan, would you take those moments that you had as a Southampton fan winning the league, and doing it, and then have them taken away later on for the history books? At the end of the day, you're a fan, you'll have been there, you'll have celebrated like no tomorrow.
Yeah.
Does it, like, to the fans, does it actually matter?
No, not at all. I mean, this had Aguero's goal whilst obviously this was going on. So, you can't take that experience away from anyone, to be honest. Even a neutral like me watching that game is probably the only game, as I think I've said before on this podcast, the only game where I actually got up and I was actually cheering for actually another team, like, properly. I'd say it's probably like one of the happiest. So yeah, no, you can't take that away at all. So no.
Perfect. Well, I guess we'll see how this all progresses. As you said, Everton probably challenging, but I don't think they need to do it too much, because I think they're going to stay up, and I think
exactly
they'll be fine. Just because of how poor the other teams around them are.
Exactly.
Right. Anything more to say on finance, Mr. Accountant?
No, none from me. I'm a bit out of that today, so I've already done a lot of that. So let's move on. We've got something exciting.
Let's get
a little game.
Creative, our creative mind in. Seeing as it's the international break and we don't want to talk about international football at all, we are going to do our. Oh, excuse me. We are going to do our team of the year so far. 11-a-side team. The caveat is that we cannot pick one player from the same team. So we can't have 2 Arsenal players, we can't have 2 Sheffield United players, etc., etc. We'll go through ours.
And a manager. And a manager, obviously, as well.
And a manager, correct. And a manager, yes. And a manager as well.
Yeah.
But what we'll do is we'll go through ours. We'll start with the goalkeeper, then our defensive line, then midfielders, and then strike force. Would you like to start?
I'll go for my back 5 here. So obviously my goalkeeper and then my back 4 as well. So in goal, I went for Jay Leno, Bernd Leno from Fulham. I think he's had a really good start to the season. I think he's always a very good player. Right back, I've gone Kieran Trippier. Speaks for himself. Centre back, I've gone Anderson from Crystal Palace and Lewis Dunk from Brighton. Again, and left back, I've gone Cucurella from Chelsea. I think he's had a good start to the season there. So that's my back five there. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, I think it's a different kind of blend, but I think I've done it completely on form this season. I've obviously missed a lot of big clubs there, but I'm hoping they filter in down the top end of the pitch there. So yeah, that's what I've done.
Very good. Well, I know I told you that I'd done something slightly different with mine, and you're not aware of this yet. So there are going to be no stereotypical big clubs in mine. I've decided to pick mine from the bottom 11 clubs.
Oh, that's good. That's good.
So I'm not allowed anyone from positions 1 through to 9. So, okay. Which means, of course, I have to get everyone in here, need some Burnley players and everyone. And I'm starting off with Sheffield United. I think one of the one players who can't hang his head in shame is the goalkeeper, Wes Foderingham. I think he's made a good account of himself. I think he's made the most saves in the Premier League. He's obviously had the most shots to try and stop at the same time. But I think he's been really good.
Completely agree.
Then, so my back four is made up of 3 centre-backs and 1 left-back, and there'll be a centre midfielder which will... It's be a fluid formation. There'll be a centre midfielder that will fill in at right wing back where necessary. Okay. But my defenders are Tom Lockyer of Luton, Joachim Andersen as well of Crystal Palace. I think he's been superb. Yeah. Nathan Collins of Brentford. Yeah. He's been very, very solid. A great addition to that side. And left back, I've gone for Ola Aina of Nottingham Forest.
I think he's been good.
He's been really, really good. And he's actually chipped in with a goal and a couple of assists in the last few games as well to top off, which I think he's had a really, really solid start to the season. Yeah.
No, I think that's completely fair there. I think that's completely fair. Obviously, you're missing the big teams there, so that makes sense. That makes sense with that. So yeah, I mean, do you want to go for your midfield next? I don't know what formation you played there.
So well, it's, as I said, it's a bit fluid. So it's 4-3-3 nominally, but one of these players will slide in and play right wing back out of possession. Okay. So that player will be Conor Gallagher. He'll be in and out of the midfield to right wing back. I think he's been Chelsea's star performer this year so far. I think he's unassuming. I don't think he's the most exciting footballer ever in the world, but week in, week out, he is a solid player. And I think that Chelsea are starting to click a little bit as a team, but I don't actually think there've been any star performers as of yet.
I think the argument for Chelsea is Cole Palmer. Cole Palmer in the last 2 or 3 games has looked a lot better. I know all his goals have been penalties, which I think is obviously key to mention, but I think he has actually had that kind of creative spark when other players haven't.
But again, it's only 2 to 3. Yeah, 2-3 games really.
Exactly, completely.
But okay, so yeah, Conor Gallagher. The other 2 midfielders I've gone for, and I think he's probably the best player in my team, is João Palhinha of Fulham. Yeah, brilliant player. Almost went to Bayern Munich. Deserves to, really, in my opinion. And then third is Abdoulaye Doucouré of Everton. Yeah, we've spoken about the pod a number of times. He's going to get goals.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, no, I completely agree with that. As a midfield 3 there, that's nice. That's a good balance as well. So I've obviously got the best teams now here, which is good. So right, I've got obviously as my CDM there. I've gone for a holding 2 actually, but one's gonna like go forward a little bit. So I've gone Rodri, obviously the best player in the Premier League probably, and Declan Rice next to him, who's going to go forward a little bit. And then obviously is my cam. I don't think anyone's been better in the Premier League in this position this year, and that's obviously James Maddison. You can't look anywhere else but him, obviously. And I think him being injured at the moment is possibly massive for Tottenham. But anyway, that's not what we're doing. And then I mean, I can't really find a fault with those 3, if I'm being honest. I think those 3 together as well would work absolutely perfectly. So yeah.
They do well to stop Doucouré though.
Well, I mean, to be honest, I've got Rice and Rodri next to him, so I'm happy with that. And then I'll move on to my strikers here, because this is where I'm talking blistering pace here, and this is all I want. So I've gone right wing, Salah, probably the most consistent performer over the past 5-6 years of the Premier League, bar maybe De Bruyne. And this season, despite possibly having a little bit of a poorer season, is on 10 goals and like umpteen assists, and he's just a moments player. So he's in there. My left wing, I've gone for Decore. I nearly went for him because I just wanted him in my team because he's been so crucial. But I actually went for Jared Bowen from West Ham because I think, again, lightning quick. He's been a really, really, really good player again this year. And up top, trusty Ollie Watkins. I don't think you can look anywhere else but him. He's again on fire. He's pacey as well. He's causing defenses absolute mayhem. So yeah, I'm happy with that team a lot.
Yeah, I can't really argue with that. I think there's a lot of goals in there.
No, I agree.
They might cause Tom Lockyer some problems right back.
Possibly, yeah. I might swing on in Salah over and put him on Lockyer actually.
Right. Well, so the first player on the left wing that I'm picking out is Koleosho of Burnley, one of the few good performers for Burnley this year so far. Very quick, very creative. Not got the goal scoring touch as of yet, but I'm hoping he'll lay on for the other two. And then, so the last two I've got are Bournemouth and Wolves. And I actually could have picked two different combinations here. So I could have picked Semenyo and Hwang Hee-chan.
Yeah, that Korean guy.
But I didn't. I didn't. So Hwang Hee-chan, I think, still the highest shot conversion in the Premier League. However, I think the best player for Wolves this season has been Pedro Neto. He's been the one that's setting up everything. So I've gone for Pedro Neto as my right winger, which leaves big man up top,
Dominic
Solanke.
Dominic Solanke. Yeah, I like
again,
that too.
12 games in, 6 Premier League goals.
He's
Goal every other
looking
game.
good.
That's not bad at all.
Solanke and Semenyo together, we were talking about it last week, me and Andy. Them two are looking absolutely on fire.
Yeah.
I actually really like them as a striking partnership. So yeah, it's good. Yeah, no, I like that team a lot. Actually, I have to say that. I mean, you're missing obviously at star quality, but I think Neto actually offers that. I think Neto offers that quite a bit actually, and Paulinho actually. Paulinho was what was on my list actually. If I couldn't find.
So I was really struggling to find a right back from the bottom 11 sides, and the only one that I could come up with was Timothy Castagna, who I think has been good for Fulham, but I couldn't take out Paulinho. No,
I agree with that. I think actually where I struggled was left backs. I don't think in the Prem there's a decent left back this year, bar the Dogies had a really good start. I think Luca Dean's looked good, and Cucurella has looked good. He's looked solid. I don't think he's looked unbelievable, but I don't think there's actually a world-class left back in the Prem anymore. Looking at it at all.
Yeah, maybe.
And obviously a Dogie would be number one, but obviously you can't not have Maddison. I think in kind of the Premier League team of his season so far, definitely not. So
I think it's difficult because you've got people like Shaw that are injured, Chilwell that's injured.
Yeah. Robertson.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Injured. Yeah. So I think there are the players there, but they're just all injured.
No, exactly. No, unfortunately. I agree. And who was your manager? Obviously?
Well, so if I was going up the table and having to pick the next one up, then I'd have to pick 9th place, and I'd have to pick David Moyes. So I actually don't. I think he's done a really good job. Yeah, I agree, yeah. I think he's probably in the upper half of Premier League managers, but no, I think it's a toss-up between Ange Postecoglou and Gary O'Neill. And I think that you can make cases for both of them. I think O'Neill's based on the fact, I probably would go Gary O'Neill as well, particularly based on the fact that he was undervalued last year, despite arguably being manager of the year last year.
Yeah, definitely. I actually think he deserved that, to be honest. And obviously, well, I don't know. Man City did win the treble, so don't know. But Gary O'Neill's again. Look, they beat City this year, and I mean, they have lost a bit with Neto getting injured. Do have to say that, but yeah, no, that was actually really good fun to do that.
It's harder than I thought.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think the amount of different fluctuations you can have or variations you can have from a team is good fun when you're just picking one from each. And I would say Aston Villa probably second for each of my positions. I was kind of going like I could put him there, could put Matty Cash, could put Lugadin, could put Diaby anywhere. So Villa are going to finish top 4 still. Come on. So
Interesting.
yeah.
Right. Well, we did get Andy to do this as well, and unfortunately he's unwell. But what we'll quickly do, we'll read out Andy's, and then you can read out your team back to front, and I'll do the same.
Cool.
So Andy picked a goalkeeper, Jose Sarr. He had a defensive line of Trippier, Brathwaite, Saliba, and Estupinian. He played 5 in midfield. Rodri, Ward-Prowse, Salah, Maddison, and Palmer, with a striker of Watkins as well.
Who's his manager?
Sean Dyche.
Sean Dyche, of course it is. Of course it is. Absolutely nowhere else to see. Right, okay, so I've got my manager, Gary O'Neill, in the trenches there. You got Bernd Leno in goal, playing 4-2-3-1 almost. So I've got Trippier, Anderson, Dunk, and Cucurella. Got Rodri and Rice and holding that midfield. Maddison being my cam, creating it all, and then the pace up top of Salah, Bowen, and Watkins in the middle. So yeah, that's my team there.
Very good. Yeah. And then my team, and seeing as you picked Gary O'Neill, I'll have Ange. Yeah. Ange is managing this really attacking team of Fotheringham, Lockyer, Anderson, Collins, and Aina. With a midfield of Palhinha, Doucouré, and Gallagher, and then a forward line of Neto, Koleosho, and Dominic Solanke.
Yeah. Good teams. Yeah, I definitely think we should do more of that.
I think we should as well. Yeah. We'll come up with some variations. But if you are listening, Mum, then please do let us know your team. Also, if you're not our mum, then feel free as well.
Hi, Dad.
But we assume it's probably only our mum that's listening to this podcast. But yeah, please let us know your own teams. It'd be great to hear from you as well. But yeah, cool. I've got a good bit of news for you, actually.
Dun, 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 dun.
The news is the international break's almost over, which means the Premier League is back on Saturday.
Oh.
And do you know what that means?
I know what it means for us. I know what it means for
everyone, because I assume that everyone plays along at home as well.
Oh, they do. It's a predictions game.
It's the predictions game. Of course it is.
Oh, love it. Seamless.
Absolutely love it.
And actually, James, I just want to say breaking news right now. North Macedonia are winning 1-0 against England.
Come on,
North Macedonia. Here we go. 41st minute whistle. We're currently in the 46th minute at the moment. So yeah. But anyway, back to a predictions game. Back to something way more important than international football. Sorry, that's why I thought you were going.
It is indeed. Yeah. Right. Shall I read out the fixtures? Yeah. Why not? Yeah. Let's go. So there's some really, really, really tasty fixtures coming up this week. So we've got Man City, Liverpool, the lunchtime kickoff. Then we've got Sheffield United, Bournemouth, Nottingham Forest, Brighton, Burnley, West Ham, Luton, Crystal Palace, Newcastle, Chelsea, completing the 3:00 kickoffs. Saturday evening, you've got Brentford, Arsenal. And then Super Sunday consists of Tottenham versus Villa, which will be a corker. And then Everton. It'll be interesting to see fan reacts to everything. I think that Everton will run riot over Man United, actually.
Completely agree.
I really do.
Completely agree. Yeah, I can't really see Man U do much unless McTominay comes on and starts completely tearing them up. But I think Doucouré could. I think that'll be a big old reaction at Goodison, actually.
I think that will as well.
Yeah,
be a good one to watch. And then finally, next Monday it is Fulham versus Wolves.
Yeah.
Right. So let's
Predictions.
start off with predictions. So Andy went for a 4-1 win for Wolves over Fulham.
Wolves. Away in Fulham on Monday
That
night.
is a ballsy
Bold.
shout.
It's bold, that one. It's bold.
He's moved to Wales and now he's very ballsy.
Yeah, well, that's what happens, isn't it? That's what happens when you move to Wales. I went for Bournemouth to beat Sheffield United 2-1 away. So go on, Bournemouth.
I think this is the time for Sheffield United. I think it's a 2-0 win over Bournemouth. So it's a face-off.
Face-off.
James,
let's go.
Face-off.
Let's go. Smack up. Let's go. Face-off.
Yeah. We'll be keeping a keen eye on that at 3:00. In fact, I will be up in that area because I will be watching Huddersfield versus Southampton at that time. So I'll listen out for the cheers at Bramall Lane when Sheffield United score.
Right, exactly. Yeah, it's not that far. So yeah, you can nip there on the way back.
Why not?
Yeah,
Go celebrate. Brilliant. Well, that's the predictions game. Do you have anything else? Any closing remarks on international football, Premier League football, finance, or what?
No, not really. Actually, I think the one note really is Liverpool are playing again at 12:30, which always makes me laugh. That's Tottenham likes that. So that's good. That's good. Let's keep them winding them up.
Yeah. That will be a brilliant game. Cancel all your plans. 12:30 Liverpool versus Man City. That'll be an absolute corker.
Completely agree.
Brilliant. Well, until next week, there's just one more thing to say.
Let's go.
And that is that it's on your head, son.
Not off your head.
Son.
Yeah, let's go.